For years now, I've been trying to find just the right tool to help me run D&D games online. I can totally see the value in some of the fairly robust options like Fantasy Grounds and Roll20, Foundry VTT, etc. But personally, I wanted something simpler. I wanted the digital equivalent of rolling out a map and throwing some miniatures on. Google Slides actually worked pretty well. You can drag in some maps and tokens, and players could join in and actually move things around. But I kind of wanted a fog of war option to obscure unexplored parts of a dungeon. Now, Photoshop kind of worked for that. I could paint on a fog of sorts, but this made it tricky for me to actually see what I was erasing, and I, as the GM, had to move things around for the players. Dungeon Fog was pretty great for a while, but you can only use maps that were created in their program. So while I was pondering all of this and preparing for my own online campaign, my good friend Matt Click introduced us to Owlbear Rodeo in the Provokers game, and I couldn't believe it. It was exactly what I had been searching for. Quick and easy for both players and GM. It was pretty much everything I needed and nothing more. Also, it's totally free. So in this video, we'll be taking a look at Owlbear Rodeo. Hi everyone, Nate here from WASD20. Before we get going here, I want to note that this video is not sponsored. I have no affiliation with Owlbear Rodeo, and I have never even spoken with the developers. I'm honestly just really excited about this tool. However, this video is patron fueled. Thanks to these amazing people for supporting the channel and making videos like this possible. Patrons also get access to weekly live map drawing streams, campaign diaries for my Icewind Dale campaign, and more. So go check it all out over at patreon.com/WASD20. So here we are at owlbear.rodeo. Pretty simple menu here. You've got this getting started bit here with some of the basics, as well as a more detailed how-to page right there, which I actually found to be a little bit out of date for the latest version. You've got a start game option, join game, and then you've got some ways you can support them, including Patreon, which is fairly new, which is great. It's a completely free piece of software here, or web application, I guess. And it's really cool that, you can still support them, even though there's nothing to buy here. There's no premium account or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and start a game. I'm not going to use a password because I'm not too concerned about security, honestly, and I'm just sharing links with my players usually. So we'll go ahead and start this. As that loads, the first thing you'll notice is it's completely blank. There's no map in here. So we just need to click on this select map button here, and then we can go ahead and choose one of our maps. These are the default maps that come in Owlbear Rodeo. And these are all maps that I have loaded in here. It's as simple as just dragging and dropping into here. Super easy. So we can go ahead and look at this one. Notice that when I open this up, this is my map from last game session in my Icewind Dale campaign. And you'll notice that it saved all our tokens and everything here. So that's really nice. It actually saves all that stuff. Now, how does Owlbear Rodeo save? You can't log in. There's no cloud save or anything like that. Basically, it is just storing this information, I think, in your browser cache. And you have a lot of storage. I think it's like 600 gigabytes before you use it all up. So you can add tons and tons of stuff, but understand that, if you go to a different computer, you're not gonna be able to access that. There's just nothing you can do there. And when I had to reformat my computer a couple months ago, I lost all my stuff. Fortunately, it's really quick and easy to add a lot of stuff very quickly, so I didn't have any trouble. It took me like 5 or 10 minutes to add my stuff back in. Go ahead and load a new map here. Let's take a look at this. This one I got from 2 Minute Tabletop. Pretty nice map. And you can see that I do have some custom tokens here, and I also have the default tokens. So my custom tokens are all on the top here. These are all tokens that I have loaded in. If we hit the plus button, you can see again, just like with the maps, you can just drag and drop them in here. So these are all tokens that I have loaded. Some of these, this one I drew in Photoshop, this one I found somewhere. A lot of these tokens I have made using Token Stamp Editor, which I will put a link to in the video description. It's a really nice little tool. And then these ones right here from my player characters, we made in Hero Forge. So with the Hero Forge Pro account, you can get a token editor in addition to just being able to make your own characters. So that's really cool. They've got lots of great borders and other stuff. The default tokens are totally fine, so don't feel like you need to import your own tokens. If you're just wanting something super quick and easy, go with the default tokens. Once you have your tokens in here, you have several options. When you click on them, you can add a ring around them. You can actually label them. So let's go ahead and label Grukvar here. There we go, which is actually something newer that I didn't know you could do. I'll probably be using that in the future because especially when I'm streaming, I think it's handy for our viewers to know who's who. You can see that this one is lightened a little bit, and that's because I hid that one from my players. So I can turn the eyeball back on, and now that one is visible. Let's get rid of the ring around it. There we go. Now up here with my boars, I actually made a red one just to show like, hey, this one is the boss. This one's a little bit bigger than the rest. Or maybe you could say this one is partially maimed or something like that. So you can also color code those, or you can label them. I often do label my monsters because it just helps me keep track of them. So I'll show you the, let's see, mountain climb map here, and you can see that on this one. So Duergar 1, Duergar 2, and Duergar Boss right there. In addition to labeling or adding a border, you can increase the size if you'd like. You can also rotate them, and you can lock them if they're ones that you don't want to be able to move. Now, speaking of moving your tokens, players can move any token that's out here unless you as the GM have it locked. So let's talk about how you can add players and what they can do. If we click on the pencil here, you can see you can name yourself. By default, it will give you a D&D monster name, I think, but you can change that. You can also click the little plus person button here and you can invite your players. So this code they could use on Owlbear Rodeo's website, or you could just give them the direct link, which is what I usually do. Just copy that, paste it into our Zoom chat or whatever, and then my players can load up right into the map, super quick and easy. I was also really quite surprised how mobile friendly the site is. Like, it's pretty easy to just navigate around the map and drag tokens around and everything. Now, I have had a player one time who just couldn't get in the game and we couldn't figure out what was going on. And I was also playing in a game with Matt Click at one point where we just couldn't see the map. The players could not see the map, and he figured out that it was probably because the file size was just too large. The dimensions of the map were too large, and Owlbear Rodeo was having trouble loading it. So once your players are in, just be aware that they can move any token, but just like if I were to put a battle map out on the table, put a bunch of miniatures out there, I trust my players that they're just gonna move their own token, all right? It's not a big deal. I don't think you need that much control to keep them from moving other tokens. If you wanna get rid of a token, you can just start dragging it and a little trash can appears at the bottom and you can just drag it down there and voila, it's gone. Let's take a look next at the fog tool here, which is really handy. If you want to hide certain parts of the map that your players have not explored yet, you can click on the fog tool. Now, there are many ways you can add fog. You can brush it on like this with the brush tool. I'm gonna Control Z to undo. You can add rectangles of fog like this, or you can use the pen tool and you can actually kind of like hit the vertices of where you want the fog to go. That can especially be handy when you get into some funky shapes. Now for me, I'm just gonna fog the whole map up here. We're gonna use the rectangle tool and we're just gonna drag it from here all the way down to here, make the whole map foggy. Now if we go to the player view with this eyeball here, players can't see anything. So I've covered up the whole map, and now if I click on the scissors, I can selectively erase certain parts. I can erase by selecting the rectangle tool, and I can just go in here and get rid of this and get rid of this because certainly my players would be able to see these areas. We can click on the eyeball again. You can see exactly what the players would see. You can also use the brush tool if you just want to brush that fog out of a room like that. Or you can use the pen tool once again to select certain areas. And I could actually see this coming in pretty handy if you want to kind of get their point of view. So if you want to say, you can see into this room, but only, for example, this much of the room is visible to you. And that can be kind of a cool way to do that. Now I'm just going to click on the eraser here and I can erase all the fog and just get it out of there. There we go. We also got this drawing tool here, so you can make little drawings. Like let's say one of my players is gonna cast Bonfire, and I just wanna draw it real quick. I don't have a fire token. I can just grab this tool and make a little fire right there. It's rough, but it gets the basic message across of what's going on here. You can also use this one right here. Let's say that my player wants to throw a flask of oil and it's gonna create a spot on the ground. Just drag this brush tool here and make a nice little, there's a spot of oil on the ground there. You can also use the line tool here to make lines like that, or you can use the area tools to make a square or a circle, or even a cone, which is kind of handy for certain spells. Next up, we have this measuring tool right here. And this is kind of handy if you want to figure out on a gridless map like I have here, how far can we go? So Grukvar wants to move 25 feet. How far can he get? Let's see here, 25 feet. Maybe he goes 6 there, and now he has 19 left. There we go. And you can kind of see how that works. So Grukvar could get right there. Now I would love it if we could actually move the token and see as we're moving it how far it's going, so that when we let go, it's now there. Instead, we have to go back to the hand tool here and we can just click and drag Grukvar roughly to where that 25 feet would have been. So the measuring tool definitely comes in handy, and you can also change the scale of your map so that you can kind of customize the distance. The pointer tool comes in handy when you're wanting to say, Grukvar, you hear something right over here. And you can just drag that pointer tool and all the players will be able to see that. The players can also use that if they, for example, say, I'm gonna try to throw this bottle of wine right over there because I wanna make a loud noise. And the last tool on the right here is the note tool. And I'll actually show you, you can drag a note out here, you can make it bigger, and you can just type notes to yourself in there. I'll show you how I did that on this mountain climb map right here. You can see that it's pretty transparent, and that's because I hid that note from my players. But you can see I made a note about some hit points here and a note that the party has 1 level of exhaustion. So if you're not into leaving notes on paper, you want to leave it right on your map, that can be a handy way to do that. You can hide it from your players with the eyeball. Just a couple other features that I actually haven't used. You can supposedly share audio with your group. That's kind of cool. And there's a timer here. The settings button here, you can actually change the light theme. You can change the token label size. So for example, my token's out there. And you can clear the cache or erase all content and reset, which I definitely do not want to do because I don't want to lose my maps. So that's about it for the hands-on look at the features here in Owlbear Rodeo.
So, is Owlbear Rodeo perfect? No, of course not. But man, I'm really digging it. For my online games, I usually stream them, and I'm often managing a lot of stuff. So wherever I can minimize setup and things I have to tinker with, it is very much appreciated. Maybe someday I will jump into a more robust virtual tabletop with character sheets, automated roles, initiative and hit point trackers, etc. But for now, I'm so glad I found Owlbear Rodeo. I'm sure we'll see this tool continue to develop and improve over time, and I'm excited about that, but I hope the developers don't forget that it's the simplicity and ease that set Owlbear Rodeo apart. In this case, less really is more. I would also love to hear some of your thoughts and ideas about Owlbear Rodeo or other tools that make running RPGs online easier. Just put those suggestions or any questions you have down in the comments below. All right, that's going to do it for this one, everybody. Take care. You'll see me again very soon.